Stefa'nie Ross from Ross United Services. Thanks for joining me today on Brite Cast. Let's start off with a little bit about you and how you got started, and we'll go from there.
All right. First of all, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
So I started Ross United Services about 3 years ago. And what we are is we are a business operations management company. Okay. So we help businesses, and I know we're going to get into it, but we help businesses do their back office business operations. So payroll, bookkeeping, invoicing, any type of office management work that you need, we specialize in that.
Okay. How'd you get into that?
How much time do you have?
I mean, we got time. We're just starting.
Okay, so let me tell you. So basically what happened is when I was pregnant with my son in 2017, I said to myself, I want to be a stay-at-home mom and wife that owns a business. So this was something that I prayed for back in 2017.
Amen.
Yes. And what happened is each time I got a new job, I started getting closer and closer to home. Like I used to have a commute that was 2 hours long, you know, and you start thinking about those things after you have children. Like you don't want to be that far away. You don't want to work for a company or work for someone that's not giving you PTO, or you have to justify when you have to leave because your kid is sick, or you feel like you're working so hard and you don't get the annual increase that you wanted. Like all of those things started happening over the course of that time after I already had that prayer. COVID happened, which is, I'm sure, the origin story for a lot of people. Yeah. Like once COVID happened, it really set those things in motion. Like, what am I doing? What do I ultimately want to do? I'm working, but yet I have to deal with X, Y, and Z, like health and death and like crazy things going on around you. So from there...
You want to pull that up a little closer?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So from there, I continued to work. Started getting up the corporate ladder. I was a regional business office manager for a senior living company. And I got in contact with someone, my sister, I'm just going to say it, who started her own business, but her business is more like clinical. Okay. And she didn't specialize in the business office of it, like the business aspect of it. And she said, hey, Steph, can you help me with these things? So I started my company and started contracting with her while I was working my 9 to 5. Yeah. And from there, I had to travel from work. This was from 2021 to 2023.
Which is tough with a little kid.
Correct. Then I had my second child. Okay. So right after I had my second child in 2022, I got a promotion and I had to travel to California like every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks. Wow. So you're talking about leaving, your husband and your 2 kids and going and traveling in order to make a certain amount of money, right? Like, I have to do this because I want to make this amount of money. And I really sat back and I said, I don't think I can do this. I still had this prayer. I still had this goal in mind where I'm like, I need to start my own thing. And because of my sister and her business, I came to her and I said, I need to come to you full time. I am going to do my business myself, but I need that one client. So I said to her, I was like, I can do this, and this for your company. You don't need to hire anybody else. Let my company do it. And from there, I contracted with her, quit my job. She matched my salary.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I'm a 1099 though, so.
Yeah.
Still got to pay those taxes.
Yeah.
And then I want to say 6 months into that, I got my second client. And then a month later, got my third client. And then from there, I've been growing. So right now, so I was able to quit my job March of 2024. And I now have 6 clients by myself.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I've hired an assistant as well this year.
Right.
So so that was my long story long.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I like details, it helps me understand you and it's good for people watching too.
Yes.
I kind of somewhat have a similar story. I was working a dying corporate job and I knew, but I started working from home and I was like, how can I kind of keep this thing going? So my sisters had an auto shop in Manassas Park and it was struggling and the website was terrible. I was like, let me just do your website for you. And so I did it and she got immediately like 30% more customers, more calls because we set up their Google business profile, right? All that sort of stuff. And I was like, maybe I could do this, and then COVID happened. I have enough side stuff going on, but COVID happened. I lost that job. but they gave me 6 months of severance. So I was like, it's now or never.
Right. Right.
So I mean, so you started off, did you go to school for this type of stuff or?
Yes.
Okay.
So my major is mass comm, but I have an MBA with a concentration in marketing,
Okay.
believe it or not.
Okay.
So I was very into marketing. When I first graduated from college, I did all sales. So my experience is sales, and then I pivoted that into business office management.
Okay.
So when I was working for the senior living communities, my specialty was business office, like back of the house, doing invoicing, doing payroll, doing all the things. And when I got the promotion, I ended up training other business office managers in the different communities.
Okay.
So it helped me to understand like the A to Z of owning a business, really. Because the way that this particular company operated, which I'll always like have respect for them because they taught me a lot, they each had their own entities. They each operated differently, and they had templates that they had to create in order to like form this massive senior living community. So it taught me how to essentially start a business and the things that you need.
Right.
So that became my experience, but I found that it was my passion. I just had an issue and a conflict because I would train the people, but the people still weren't doing the things the way that I would do it. So that's why, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but that's why I was like, I want to be responsible for my own success.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
What are you seeing is like the biggest problem with like new clients that come to you? Is just everything's broken, like, and you're just like start as a consultant, and then you fix the things.
Yes. Okay. So I have a variety of clients, I would say, and that's one of the things I'm working on this year is like I have clients that only need one thing. Like let's say they just need the invoicing aspect. Then I have another client that just needs bookkeeping. So they come to me and they say, I have no idea, but I know I need this like now. So I'll talk to them about solving their now problem, but then also eventually letting them know, I can do X, Y, and Z. If you need help with your organization management, like all of the things I can eventually help with, but I try not to upsell. I try to make sure that I am handling their immediate issue in order for them to feel less like angst.
Right. And when you have like, let's say I redo someone's website, I don't sell them on any of the other stuff that I do at that point. If they're coming to me for that, then I'm going to do that and make sure you like me. It was a great experience. And then I'll tell you about X, X, Y, and Z, all the other stuff that I can do. But let's make sure that your immediate issue is fixed. Is there like a common one? I know bookkeeping is probably, especially for smaller companies like solopreneurs and stuff, that's probably is there a specific point that you would say, get a good bookkeeper, X amount of dollars? Because obviously it costs something. So at what, is it 100,000, 200? What, at what point do you think it should be off of their hands?
So my most recent client, he has not looked at his books. Like he doesn't have any type of software, and he's been in business for 2 years, but it's just been him.
Yeah.
So he was able to quit his job, and he now has contracts doing the thing. So he's a one-person business, but he's never looked at his books. He's never kept his receipts. He has not done any of the things. And so I'm starting his books from scratch, like for a year. So I'm going in and I'm auditing 2025. I set up his QuickBooks. I'm doing his S Corp form. I'm doing all of the things. So the way that I was able to charge for that is I'm going to charge you at a phase 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
So phase 1 is the cleanup. Like if I have to go through all of these transactions for 365 days, this is my set price. This is how long it's going to take me to do it. And then phase 2 is that consistent review of the bookkeeping. And then phase 3 is the consulting.
Okay.
So I'm able to shape it based on the needs of the client. But then because I'm small, I also want to be more transparent with them and say, yes, I'm charging you this amount for phase 1, but these are the amount of hours that it's going to take to do this.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's charging anything like what I do, there's like 10, 15 transactions a day that you have to go through. And if they're all from different named things that you'd have to find the source for, that's going to take a while.
Right. And it took me a while to get to that because, when you are first starting out, you kind of well, I don't know about you, but you kind of take what you can get because you're like,
Yeah,
I have a
of
new
course.
client and I want to make money
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to charge them this amount per hour. What if they can't afford it?
Right.
But then when you sit back and look at the time and energy that it takes, and at this point, you're an expert.
Yeah.
So you can't charge them rates that somebody who doesn't have as much experience as you charges them. Like I have over 15 years of experience at this point.
Right.
So I can't say, oh, well, I'm going to do this because of this. Like you're going to have to work up to that and eventually see your value.
Right.
Because the client that I'm referring to a year ago, we had a conversation and I gave him my estimate and my contract and everything, and he didn't sign. He came back to me a year later, and because things are worse, he still hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
And I now have more experience.
You got more
I
leverage.
charged him more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's getting everything that he needs.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not, oh, I can charge him more, but I'm going to do the same work. I'm putting in more work, and now I know more.
So what's been your biggest, I mean, it's awesome that your sister helped you in the beginning.
Yours too. I was going to say
Yeah,
that about
yeah.
yours. Family is everything.
She didn't pay me for it, but
Family is
but I was
everything.
happy to bless her with it. It gave me like a sparkle of, ooh,
I can do this.
yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. Because at first, with my sister, I didn't get paid like as much. But when I realized like how important like my level of expertise was to her,
Right.
I was able to increase my rate. And it's not something that I like hit her over the head with, like, oh, I'm charging you this amount because you're
But
my
if you're
sister.
saving her in a bunch of ways,
I'm
then
saving her money and she doesn't have to question anything. Like I literally can come to her and give her updates on any question she asks me. So she doesn't have to look at it herself. Like
Right.
I am essentially like her COO.
that's awesome. So what's like the biggest thing that you've realized in having your own business? What's
That
like
you have to pay your taxes.
Oh yeah, that's not fun.
They're gonna get it one way or another.
Yeah.
Like, you get very excited about the invoices and the money in the bank account and the freedom that you have, right? With time and your ability to do certain things. But at the end of the day, you as a business owner have to make sure your books are in line. You have to make
Right.
sure that you're putting money away or tracking your expenses and doing the things that I'm doing for others right now.
Right.
I had to do it for myself as well.
So is there a plan to like have, you said in the old job, there was like different departments that had their own, set of SOPs and all that sort of stuff. Is that what you're going to do? So if you'll have the bookkeeping and like medical billing and all that, like different hubs that you hire people into?
Yes. So right now, when I train my assistant, I use a video. Like I use video training first.
You gave me that tip. Yeah.
So have you done it yet?
No, but I've made a list. I have made a list of the ones I need to do. So that's a start.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
The list is what matters. Like putting it down on paper first is like step one. So for me, like I do video training first. Use the transcripts, and I've been able to keep that in a library. And you can rename whatever it is. So I am starting to develop that list of SOPs. But to be perfectly honest, I don't know who, what, when, and where like my target client is going to be.
Okay.
Like that is what I'm working on right now.
Figuring that out.
Correct. Because 3 of my clients are in one industry. They're in the mental health industry. That is funded by Medicaid. It is a very set way of doing things. But then my 3 other clients, one is retail, one is the consultant himself, and then the other one is a tax prep
Okay.
company. So I can do a variety
Tax
of
prep.
things.
You're doing bookkeeping for tax prep?
I am a subcontractor for a tax prep company.
Okay.
Which is wild, but I can do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't I?
mean,
You know what I mean?
Make the money.
Exactly. So I know I can do all of these things, but I need to make sure that I'm not casting such a wide net
Yeah.
that it doesn't make me the known expert for something.
Yeah, I've kind of struggled with that as well. I mean, so like in the beginning, I was like, I got to take whatever I can get, right? And so I've done, massage therapists, websites, med spas, go high level stuff for, contractors. But it seems to be like the most that like 50% of the business I've gotten has been something in the contract, like general contractor, outdoor living sort of space. So that's probably where I would, just hunker down and only go after them. But at the same time, I don't want to just do that. It's not like it's good to have like a system that you can sell to somebody, which is great. But I like trying something new and building a new system. So there's kind of like I'm the bottleneck in that perspective.
And for me, on a personal note, going back to me telling you the foundation of why I'm here, I don't want to become too much of a businesswoman that I'm not taking care of my children and my husband.
Yeah.
And that was starting to happen towards the end of last year, where my focus was shifting. And I know that everything has a season and a reason. And, maybe you need to hustle for 6 months or a year so your family can live better for years to come, right? But that pressure and that stress, or, my son asking me, Mommy, you have a meeting tonight? Like, I have meetings sometimes during dinner.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have to really prioritize and remember, like, why I'm here.
What you prayed for.
And what I pray. Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to remind, like, God's reminding me.
Yeah.
Trust me. God reminds me every day. He puts people in my space, and he's been putting certain opportunities in spaces for me to realize that there are other ways to highlight what you're doing other than like beating the pavement.
Yeah. I mean, and there's no point leaving that old job just to be working more hours. I mean, you're at home and you're not commuting, which is great, but like finding that kind of work-life balance. So that's been a struggle. How do you think you're going to make sure you don't go back to that? Or is it just a constant thing of like, I'm done at this time every day, no matter what?
So I do set up boundaries. So yes, I do set up boundaries like with my office hours and when I work and when I don't work. Like I really do try not to work on Fridays or have any meetings at least on Fridays. So like that's one of the things. So that can be my catch up admin day. My husband and I, we always have a coffee date every Friday morning. So even if we can't do a date night, we always have coffee with each other. Yeah. And then I do, like I'm picking my kids up early from school today. So I try to fit in moments of joy, even if it's not consistent.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'm doing, taking it one day at a time and being like, okay, what can I do today? Or what can, you know how you have when we were in the corporate world, they would have like a daily, weekly, and monthly list kind of thing, like the priorities that needed to be done end of day, end of week, end of month. So I'm starting to set that up for myself as well, too.
Okay.
So from a business point of view, it's the priority aspect. Like, what do I really need to get done today and what can be pushed off to either next week? And then on a personal note is like finding those little specks of time and little moments of time to still be there for my husband and my kids and shutting everything off.
So does he work corporate?
Yes.
Okay. So he goes in the office or he works from home?
3 times a week.
Okay. So that's a good like flex. If I ever had to have done that, that's something that I would have budged on. But 5 days a week, hour and a half commute. Like I'd just, no.
And I had to go, not only did I have to go into work 5 days a week, I had to go into work during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to actually go into work during COVID because I was working in senior living, even though technically I wasn't providing any care. And then I had to travel as well. Then I had a commute. So technically my husband's always had it better than I have because ever since COVID happened, he did not have to go into work for about 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they opened things back up, that's when he started going in like 2 and 3 days a week.
Yeah. It's doable, but I like to work from home if I can do it, let's keep it that way. So like with payroll, bookkeeping and operations and stuff, what do you think is like the most common mistake that people are making when you first start consulting with them? Like what's you're probably doing that. Are there any like main things that always stick out?
One of the things I've been finding with a lot of business owners, and I don't want to say all, and entrepreneurs is like, they're not consistent. Like they think that they can do something one time.
Yeah.
And that would be it. And that's even with like employee relations, because I help with that as well, where they're like, well, I told so-and-so this, or I set this up, and they're not trusting and verifying that they did it or trusting and verifying that the person did it. And it's like they don't want to repeat themselves. It's very interesting.
Okay.
And it might be because they're focused on so many other things.
Right.
So like those minute details they're not really that minute to me, but it might be a minute detail that they think is small. And because
like what, for example?
So let me see. Let me think of a good example. as far as bookkeeping is concerned, I have a lot of people that aren't consistent with receipts. Like they're like, oh, I lost that receipt. I think I lost that receipt, or I had this receipt, but I don't know what it was for. Like, and it's like, what do you mean? This is a business, something that you spent $1,300 and whatever dollars on. It wasn't like it was $15. You know what I mean? Which you should always have receipts. Obviously, I'm going to say that as a bookkeeper.
Right.
But they don't look at things as like a major issue to consistently be consistent. So what I tend to do is I hold them accountable without judgment. So weekly with all of my clients, if it's the medical billing aspect, if it's bookkeeping, payroll, whatever it may be, I send them a recap and an update every week.
Okay.
So when I'm reviewing bookkeeping and doing categories and doing all the things in QuickBooks, weekly I send them a missing receipts like Excel sheet, and I'll just ask them questions. So for me, it's a CYA for me as a bookkeeper because I asked you about it. Right. But at the end of the day, it's your business. So if you don't provide it to me, and then when you do your taxes and you might have to answer for something, that is essentially on you.
Right.
But I bring it to the forefront of your mind. So maybe you're not thinking about it every day like I am because you're running your business in other ways. I'm still going to send an email or send a communication to you letting you know that this is something that is missing or this is something that's needed.
And like when your emails, if you're invoiced with something and that's how you're getting the receipt, that can pile up in no time. I mean, I probably get, 50 to 100 emails a day easy. That's not counting spam and all that other stuff. So it's like, it can be overwhelming. And, is there any sort of system for like the email receipts and stuff? Can they attach it places?
They can.
Yeah.
But the way that I operate, and I don't know if this is right or wrong or because I am boutique, I tell them to email it to me. So when I do it. I do it for them. I do a lot of things for them, but that's because I'm small.
Yeah.
And So
but at some point you can charge way more. As you get bigger clients, like if you're going to have that level of being in their business, not just like looking at on the outside, then you can charge that much more.
Thank you for that, Mike. Yeah, I appreciate that because I probably will.
Yeah.
But it has gotten to a point where whenever they pay for something or whenever there is a bill that was paid for, they'll forward it to me.
Okay.
And then I upload the attachment to QuickBooks. Oh. So
at least it's getting done.
I do a lot.
So you're like a bookkeeping and hand holder, essentially, a mom in some regards.
So I really do. And this is why I'm trying to like shape and mold my business into what I want it to be, because I really do feel like I'm their glorified business office director.
Yeah.
Glorified business office director. Because when I was working in corporate in the industry that I was working in, this is exactly what an employee did. So like the employee of the communities, they were in charge of these 5 things. They were the go-to person for these 5 things. And that's what I've become for these businesses.
So do you help them like set up their processes and stuff?
I have.
Okay. Yeah.
For about 2 of my clients, I've set up some processes for them. I've helped them with onboarding and offboarding with HR. I help them with offer letters. Like I have been able to go in and be that like frontline person because again, the community that I was in and the company I worked for before I went off on my own, there was a point where I was handling the HR and I was handling business operations.
Yeah.
That's how I got promoted, I think, too, because I was doing all the things. So I have experience in it. I just don't say that I am an expert in human resources, but I'm an expert in streamlining processes.
Right. Okay.
So any processes that I know, given a little nugget, is easy for me to do. And then I'll charge if you actually need me to be the one to physically do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if a company brings you in, and they don't even know what's wrong, where do you start first? Do you just look at their books first, or if they don't know what's broken, like how do you help them fix it?
So when I talk to them, I ask them what their biggest issues are, and for the most part, I haven't had anybody that didn't know that they had an issue. They just probably didn't know how big of an issue it is.
Okay, yeah.
Or the fact that it's something that can bite them later. Like, I don't want to wish an audit on anybody.
Right.
I don't want to wish any of these things on anyone, but you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared when it comes to a paper trail, when it comes to an email. And that has to do with employee relations work.
Okay.
You can't say, oh, hey, I'll pay you $150,000 to an employee, but there's no documentation saying it. There's no offer letter. There's no application. There's no, all of the things that you need to do in order to hire an employee. Like, there's steps that need to be taken. And because my mind automatically goes into that mode, they can tell me, hey, I have this problem, and I am able to then say, okay, so you think that you have this issue with your books, or you haven't set up bookkeeping yet. How do you keep your receipts? Oh, I don't know. Da, 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 da.
Shoebox.
Oh, you have them in a shoebox? So have you ever scanned them and maybe put them in folders and separated them by months? Oh, no, da, da, da. So it's like my mind is already like, okay, you don't even have the bare essentials to do your bookkeeping. You're operating as if you are an individual and not a business.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how small or how large your business is. You have to set up processes from the beginning.
I think that's what most people don't do.
Most people do not
the
do
other
that.
client you were talking about, you just start making money. And then, then you're off. Your focus is on just making money and getting clients or whatever it is, whatever type of business, getting services done. And you're not thinking about,
Right.
Or you're putting it off. If you start, January 26, I'll worry about it January 27.
Right. And that's why I hold people accountable without judgment, because clearly that's my passion. Like, my passion is, we got to get your books together. We have to have your photo. Like, I do Google Workspace organization for people.
Okay.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I will set up your Google Drive where you have your employee docs here, your invoices here, your, grievances here, your reviews here. I can go on and on, obviously.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that, like, my mind automatically thinks about.
Okay.
But there is nothing in me that's like, why you ain't think about that? You know what I mean? Because they are focused on being out here, being a marketer, being out here developing websites for people. They're not thinking about the back office stuff. And that's the only thing that I think about.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely guilty of that.
yeah.
So were you this organized as a child?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I've learned in therapy is I became the type of child that always wanted to make sure I had an answer for everything so I wouldn't disappoint my parents.
Okay.
So I am always trying to satisfy my 12-year-old self.
Okay.
Is what I learned in therapy.
I was the good kid too.
Because are you the younger?
I'm
or
the
older?
youngest. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am too.
The golden child.
I am too. Are you the only boy?
No, I have a older sister who actually does bookkeeping for Loveless Porter in
awesome.
Manassas. And then my brother, he's the middle child, and then me. So I was always like kind of, I didn't get away with as much, but they learned the lessons. But I'm like, I definitely want to make my parents happy.
Same.
And
so I have my older sister, and I got away with a lot. Like, if she were here right now, she'd be like, okay, because I had her.
Yeah.
So I was able to, like, sneak and do teenage things because I had my sister there. But when it came to getting a job, because I didn't want to ask my parents for money, or, like setting up the colleges that I wanted to go to in advance, like, I was always on top of those things.
Yeah.
I got my work permit to work at 14.
Wow.
I was like, I don't know if everybody had it, but in Virginia, you had to take your permit when you were 15 and 8 months, I believe, or 15 and 9 months.
Yeah.
You had to take the test.
Yeah.
I was there the day that I was 15 and 9 months,
I was there close to that. I couldn't wait to start driving.
Exactly. And then did the driving lesson in high school and got my driver's license at like 16 and 3 months or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Right?
So always been a go-getter.
Always been the one that just had to come with a plan. And 9 times out of 10, my parents would say yes. So when I got married and ended up having kids, I had to go to therapy because I'm like, I had a plan. I thought I could do this. And, I come to my husband with a plan and I say, we should do X, Y, and Z. And then he comes to me with an opinion. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
This was perfect. Just go with it.
I already told you what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, no. When you have children, you can't do that either. You
Right.
have to pivot. You think you have a plan in life, and God laughs at you every time. So maybe I got away with my plans when I was an adolescent, but as an adult,
Yeah, it's very different. So how do you think like faith is? Did you grow up in church or
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we grew up in church, and then I started going to my own church with one of my best friends, because like the cute boys were there, but I ended up
I went for cute girls.
but I ended up being in the youth ministry. And ended up doing all of that into college. In college, I didn't go to church as much. And I don't know if this is a going thing for a lot of us, because I went to college out of town, but I could have still found a church and I didn't.
Yeah, me neither.
But then I got back into the church when I moved to Northern Virginia. So my husband and he grew up in this particular church, and I started going to it. When we started dating. And then we just found a new church that we go to that we're becoming really involved in. We've been there for about a year now.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I grew up pretty Christian, for lack of a better term. Had some like deconstruction in college, kind of came back a little bit after, and I'm kind of in that rebuilding sort of phase. But it's definitely like affected who I am as a person, you know, like, and I definitely feel blessed to be where I'm at, to have found my wife and to have friends and family and all that sort of stuff. So it hasn't like lost me at all. It's just the way I see it is very different and less rigid, I guess, than it was when I was a kid.
So I can agree with that, growing up a certain way and then finding your own way. And I definitely contribute that to my parents because I didn't have that same experience. Because my father always questioned a lot of things. Like my father, he didn't necessarily go to church with us. So it would be my mother and my sister and I. We would go to church. Then when I started going to church as a teenager, my parents didn't go to that church. My mother goes to it now, but my father always questioned things. And it can, for some people that aren't ready to hear it, they don't understand it. But my sister and I understood it very early to not be tied down to a thought or a building or a person and having your own relationship with the higher power.
Yeah.
So I had that at a very early age. And now that I'm in my 30s, I understand it now. Because even though we love our church that my husband and I go to, before we joined it, I have my own relationship with God. I feel like I have a very strong relationship with God, but no one else is going to dictate what I do, how I do it, and judge me.
I mean, my parents, they kind of were in a cult before I was born. Not but culty behavior, minus the pedophilia and that sort of stuff. But they were very controlling, super controlling, and like they had to, like, it was called discipleship, and they had to like serve the leaders.
Oh my!
And eventually, my dad was like, "I'm not going to cut your lawn today. I can't even take care of my 3 kids that I have."
Right.
So they ended up leaving, but that took them a while to get out of it. And then we still went into like a non-denominational church, which was way cooler. But it was still like my biggest thing was, why can't I question everything?
Right.
And it's okay if there's not always an answer. That's fine too.
Right.
You know, and I found a few like mentors and youth ministers and stuff that were like, that allowed me to do that. So that's one of the reasons that I kind of like stayed doing it for a long time. I was in worship ministry and all that sort of stuff, and singing in church.
And I love it. Like I would love my kids. I would love my kids to eventually do that. I would love for them to find their own walk, but I did not grow up with my parents forcing my sister and I to do anything. Like they really, except for be good people. You know what I mean? Like they taught us to be independent thinkers. They taught us to be very strong and independent in general. And they taught us to be consistent. And then from there, it's just like, you take it as you will.
Right. So are you going to like take those principles into your kids as well?
I try, but I have a boy and a girl. So my girl's already independent. I'm probably not going to be able to tell her to do anything. My son, I know that I'll establish those same principles, but my husband and I it's more of, how can I say this? So basically, my husband will take more of the reins when it comes to my son.
Okay.
And that was not training my son. I couldn't think of the right words with that because I don't know how to raise a man.
Right.
You know? So I'll establish those same principles and those same guidelines with them. But my husband does take more of the brunt of steering my son in the right direction when it comes to being a man.
Yeah. And that's great. I mean, there's so many like single moms that they do absolutely the best they can, but it's different.
Yes.
You know, to have like a loving father that's gonna, you know, fix your problems for you, whether it's by a little spanking or something, or you know, like the hard truth, but still love you through it. I mean, that's how my dad was, and I love him for it.
Right.
But I don't know that my mom could have done the same thing.
No, I don't think so. And then, well, she could have.
She could have. I don't mean.
She definitely
would have been
could've,
different in the execution of it, I guess.
But also, it goes into a thing too. This is a little off topic, but my friends and I have this conversation a lot where our parents raise girls and boys differently. It's just true. And for some reason, I don't know if it depends on the type of community that you're in, but I think women are raised more independent than men are.
Okay.
Because I believe that men can always rely on their mothers at the end of the day, but I think our fathers teach us how to be independent without them or without a man. Like my father taught me how to change my oil. My father taught me how to do a lot of things where, God forbid, but I could be a little bit more independent than I wonder if like my male counterpart can be, because moms just naturally nurture and they're going to be there for their sons regardless. Not saying they're not going to be there for their daughters, but it's just a different type of love. And I've already seen it with the way that I am with my son versus my daughter. And they're almost 5 years apart. He's older, but there's still this sense of me being like, oh, you know what I mean? Yeah. Versus when my daughter comes to me whining, I tell her to stop whining, you know? Maybe because I'm older. Maybe my patience is thinner. But either way, like I have started to notice that, and I want to check myself so I don't feed into that stereotype or that, you know, generational thing.
Right. And you think that independence thing that you got from your dad allowed you to get into gave you enough courage to start your own thing, or that when you had that idea for that prayer to start your own business, that it was, I can do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
There has never been anything that I don't think I could do, you know, because for me, yes, my dad and my mom teaching my sister and I how to be this way, but also for me, the worst anybody could say to me is no. Like, and I have felt like this since I was like 19.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like, and that's the whole plan thing.
Yeah.
Like as long as I have a plan, as long as I'm thinking ahead of, you know, what plan A and B can be, they'll say yes, but the worst thing that they could say is no.
How's that go with clients?
So far I've only gotten one no.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so I mean, how do you go about finding new people? Is it really just word of mouth right now? And I guess how big are you trying to get where you can still have work-life balance, or are you going to start trying to build a team so the business can continue to grow, but you can have some flexibility still?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. That is literally where I am right now, where I am questioning what I want the next step of my business to be and how many clients I want to obtain, as well as how many staff members I want to hire.
Yeah.
So that's the space that I've been in this year. And that's what's actually prompted me to start networking.
Yeah.
Because I've never networked before for myself. I've networked for other companies. I've gone to networking spaces, but I was representing someone else. So now I'm representing myself, and it's been working out in a very, very lovely way, in a very organic way, where my mind hasn't necessarily been focused on growing my clients. It's really been building connections.
Yeah. And just educating people. This is what I do if you ever need it.
Yes.
Otherwise, let's just be friends and, you know, get some coffee or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like, you're building a network. You're not selling.
Yes. And that's how I feel, because I don't need more clients right now. Like, I would love them, obviously, because I want to grow my business. But I'm pretty like stable. And until April 15th because I don't know. I keep circling back to the taxes thing. Like as soon as, so we'll see. But right now, like I feel very stable, but I'm trying to plan for the future because you don't want to get too comfortable with your client base because anything can change.
Right.
So now I do feel like I'm listening and having the discernment to start just being organic and building connections and relationships without feeling like I need to sell something or I need to gain anything from anybody.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, that's what Tiffany's trying to do is make it so.
Shout out to Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiffany. You know, with Grow Networking, it's just you're not selling yourself. You're just talking to people, connecting. You know, if something comes out of it that's business, that's great. But you know, you're really just trying to build a group of people, a community, as Grow Community is called. But most networking is not that. Most of it is, I'm a lawyer. Here, take my card. Right. You know, am I your lawyer now?
Right.
No.
Right.
I don't need you, but I also got somebody else.
No. Right.
Yeah.
And then I've been experiencing that. So I started networking the second week of January, like full blown networking. I'm going to go somewhere at least once a week networking, except when it snowed.
Yeah.
And I have been around a few groups. And for the most part, I've seen the positive in everything. I just need to determine how much of my energy and time I want to put into it because I still have to work. But when I met Tiffany in the Grow Networking group, it made me feel good. It made me feel comfortable. It made me feel like home.
Yeah.
So from there, because I think I met the Grow Networking group maybe 3 weeks into my networking journey. Okay. And I've pivoted ever since then, where the way that I talk to people and the way that I show up is not, it wasn't transactional to begin with. I just was trying to figure out how I wanted to network, who I wanted to meet, always having my business cards, right? But ever since going to that particular event, because of how good it felt while I was there, I have now been more organic and brought that same energy to the other networking events that I go to.
You ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People?
No.
You should.
Okay.
It's an older book, I think from like the 40s or something. But one of the main principle is essentially like ask questions about people, like, and then they'll be your friend immediately.
Yes, get them to talk about themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's why you're here.
Yeah.
All right,
I love that.
So for payroll stuff, is that a big piece of your business, doing payroll for people, or do you want it to grow?
So one of my clients, I do payroll, but it's for 50 employees.
Oh, okay.
Through QuickBooks. So it's like a lot that goes into that. It's not just like ADP where you click a button. Like you have to put in timesheets, you have to do all the things. So I would love more payroll clients, but there are risks associated with that because you're handling people's money.
Yeah.
So you need to be available if there's an issue, and you do have to create like a cadence for that as well. For instance, the one client I do payroll for, they'll submit, their timesheets and everything like that on Monday. By Tuesday, I am showing them their draft pay stubs. So that way they have 48 hours to get back to me to let me know if there's an issue before like the final deadline of QuickBooks. Right. So I was able to set up a cadence so it can essentially be foolproof. But if and when there is an issue, again, it's that CYA aspect where I did the draft. You saw it on Tuesday.
You had 2 days.
I sent you an email. You had 2 days. So if there's an issue, unfortunately, it's going to get put on your next paycheck. And it had to be a little bit of trial and error with that, because there were a few issues that came about, and I didn't want to always have like a storm to put out every 2 weeks because of X, Y, and Z. So you have to like set up those parameters and then go back to that corporate mindset where that's what corporate companies do. Yeah. We turn in our timesheets. We can see like what our paycheck is going to look like maybe a day or two before. But for the most part, they don't change anything. Right. So that's the boutique aspect of it. But so I've gotten really good at payroll to the point where if anybody needs a payroll admin person, I can do that all day. Okay. Like I could have 10 more clients that I process their payroll.
And that would be somewhat scalable too if you hired on someone else, because it is so like do this. And then, it's not like, it'd be harder to train on, consulting, for example. But the
Yes.
actual manual task of doing things, that's something you could train someone to
Yes.
do through video.
Yes.
I learned through video personally.
Yes.
I mean, like if I had to, in my old job, I was getting into like QA stuff, and they're like, "Can you, make documents for all this?" And I was like, just having to reread everything of all, like, it's just terrible.
It is.
I don't learn that way. I mean, I learn from reading, but I definitely,
I'm a visual learner as well.
yeah. I mean, if it's a visual task that I'm doing, like clicking around on different places on the screen, like if they say, go to settings, file, and then click here, click here, you could show me that in 10 seconds in a video.
That's why I love Google Meet. Like, shout out to Google Meet. Pay me. Because
sponsor the podcast.
Right. Oh yeah, sponsor the podcast. Because you share your screen, so they're seeing it. You can annotate it if you want to, so the arrows are a certain color, but then they hear you saying the things out loud, and you can transcribe it. So it's like you have it 3 different ways to get your SOPs out. And then one of the things that I think, again, it might be the way that my mind works, is there are things that are so simple for us to do, and I don't believe that we're fully utilizing them in order to make our businesses be foolproof, be, immortal, be all the things. And I truly believe that entrepreneurs, small business owners, we need to remind ourselves of how the business is operated that we quit.
Yeah, for sure. And so what's like a standard thing that you think could be fixed, like in the back office sort of things, like even with Google Meet or whatever, how could something be optimized like for an average small business?
That. So, training, your daily activities that you do if you want to eventually hire somebody, all of those things you can create an SOP yourself for.
Yeah.
And just like I told you when we first met, you're already doing it. So all the entrepreneurs out here, like, you're already processing your own payroll. You're already maybe doing your bookkeeping. You're already doing invoicing. You're already, using your CRM. I'm sure there are other industries and other things that you're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So what you do is, hey, I have to put this customer in the CRM system. Let me go ahead and record myself and speak out loud about how this is done and put it in a library for future reference.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I think most businesses should be doing now, because that's what I want to come and do. But eventually I want to give them the tools so they can hire somebody that will do it efficiently.
Right.
I don't necessarily need to work for companies forever.
And when you organize, like say you have a bunch of Google Meet stuff or whatever, do you organize it by task and then subfolders, or how do you do it? Or is it just like, do you name it something and then have to search for it? Okay.
So depending on what it is. So like, for instance, when I'm doing auditing for clients, like it will be under the auditing folder. And depending on what items I'm auditing, like for instance, let's say it's medical billing, because I do medical billing as well.
Yeah.
So with medical billing, if I did an audit, I separate it based off of the MCU, which is the insurance company. Okay. So I'll have subfolders for Centera, Humana, Aetna, and Anthem. And from there, it will be the audit of those clients in a Google sheet of what I discovered month over month. So it'll be subfolders within that subfolder. But creating it can sound like a lot, because again, I can go on and on about organization.
Yeah.
But once you create it, you'll always know where it's going to be.
Yeah. I'm pretty organized. I did like a side business where we like sold watch bands with people's pets on them.
Cool.
And we did that for a little while. But like the folder organization that we had, like we knew exactly where every order was and how to find it and all that sort of stuff. So like that makes a big difference. So what's the difference between, medical billing? What is that like? If is it billing from the actual individual that you're doing, and they're submitting a claim for whatever doctor's appointment? Is that
kind of?
Okay.
So my 3 clients, 3 of my clients, they're mental health agencies. So they provide services to the community. So it could be intensive in-home or crisis stabilization, things that you don't think about. But the way that you can think about it is when you go to the dentist and you get either a cleaning, a filling, a crown, or a root canal, right? All 4 things, I think I might have to get a root canal soon.
Oh, no.
I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to think about it. Now I'm thinking about it. So all 4 things have their own code through the insurance company.
Okay.
Right? So you have to bill based on that code to the insurance company, and then the provider, your dental office, gets paid back.
Okay.
So I do
So you're like
medical billing.
The admin people at the dentist office, for example, sends it
Correct.
to you. You actually bill the insurance and then make sure they get paid, like that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
But I am not an in-between. I actually do it. So so these mental health agencies, they have a software that they use to put in the notes and put in the claims.
Okay.
And from there, I bill the claims to the individual MCOs. And then once the claims get paid, I do the reconciliation as well.
Okay.
And if there are any denials, I go through and determine why they were denied.
So they just need someone front of office to actually take the transaction, and then you do the rest after that.
No, the software does it.
Oh,
so
really?
As long as I have access to the software, I have everything. And I do it so based off of their cadence of putting their notes in and then having the licensed person approving the notes.
Oh, okay.
That
Gotcha.
day when the notes are approved, I can then go in the system and bill them.
Okay. I mean, there's probably a good amount of money in that, so that might be a reason to. It's just
I would
if you're
love to have
passionate
10 of
or
those
not.
as well.
Yeah.
Like medical, probably payroll and medical billing. I would love to have 10 more of those clients. Like that work to me is one of those things that as long as you're consistent, as long as you are an expert and not just clicking buttons,
Right.
it can be very efficient for the client because it is one of the things my clients don't have to worry about. And I send them that email. Like I'll text you and I'll call you too, but I'm an email queen. So I finish doing my task and I send a quick update email to each of my clients about their billing.
Okay.
So I let them know what was billed. I let them know if there are any denials and what I'm doing, to fix the denials or if I need something from them every week.
Okay. So like with AI and stuff, are you using that in any way just for emails, or you type that fast?
I type, the updates is
You have some templates and stuff?
Yeah, the updates is like a week over week thing.
Okay.
So if there was an issue with one of the clients, like 1 week when I send the email, more than likely I'm removing that. You know what I mean? So hopefully that email is not a running document because I shouldn't be having as many denials.
Yeah.
So that I wouldn't use AI for. Have I used AI? I use chat. How do I use chat though? I feel like I use chat for my own, like maybe to help me. I use chat to help me like create my statement of work before, my statement of work and like my contract before. But I put in what I already think.
Right.
And then I ask him
Yeah.
to make some changes. But even with my contract, I had a lawyer review it before
Yeah, of
I sent
course.
it out to people
Yeah.
because I'm dealing with HIPAA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use it. I mean, the biggest way I started using it is because clients, like for me, they say, I want a website and it looks good and all that sort of stuff, but they don't know what they want to say about themselves. So I take everything that I can about them and it gets me like the first drafts. And that, like, I would have some like general contractors that like they can build you a building, but they can't tell you how they did it or what's good about them or why to choose them. So it just helped me like get projects done so much faster because I could kind of speak in their voice already, and it would give me at least the first draft, and they would make edits after that, and it just made everything go by so much faster.
I really love chat. I think the thing about chat and any of these other AIs is you have to start from there. Like you have to give it the brain or give it the template and give it like what you want. You can't just say, hey, create a da-da-da-da-da because it's going to be too generic or it's not going to give you what you need. But when you kind of essentially... what is it called? The alley-oop? I don't know why I'm making a sports reference. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
alley-oop.
yeah.
It's like we're alley-ooping it, and then they dunk it. Like chat dunks it. So as long as we do that right, I think it's fine.
Yeah, and like in Go High Level, like I was setting up for some clients, like even just like general support bots and like general answers. So you just train it on everything that the business does, like give it as many documents or whatever, and then it can talk to them on Facebook or Instagram message or through text message and stuff, and it answers 90% of what the people are asking for. If you want a free quote, you want to schedule it, it can book the appointment and all that stuff for you.
Yeah. You know what? I take it back. I use chat And I will give chat kudos for this, because when I was trying to figure out what to charge, based on what I do,
it always charges more than I would have.
Whatever. Yes, I will say that. So like when I was determining my rates, like what we were talking about before, and me thinking that, oh no, I should charge them this, or oh no, I should charge them that. When I put in my level of expertise, what I've been doing so far, the amount of hours that it's probably going to take, and X, Y, and Z, chat helped me with that.
Right.
And it ended up working in my favor because, I don't want to bankrupt people, but if I really put in black and white what I bring to the table and not fudge it and not make it this like huge number and actually are real, like I'm being very real about what I bring to the table, ChatGPT has helped me make some money.
Well, and I used to, like in the beginning, I was like, I don't know what I should charge, but I need the money. So I would charge way lower. I even had a guy that I thought I was charging a good amount. He was like, it should be higher. I was like, he's like, okay, well, pay me more. Right. But he was a first time client. Like it's not that crazy, I don't think, but maybe I just maybe I should be charging more, because you price yourself out of the cheap people too. Not that you don't want to be able to help people that don't have as much money, but the cheap mind frame you don't want to be involved with.
Look at your years of experience though. And I don't know if we all do it. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know. Like there's research, women, Black women, all the things. Like I don't know why I shortchange myself. It might be like an imposter syndrome thing.
Yeah.
But chat and just life has taught me that you need to be like in black and white. If you were to write down your accomplishments, your experience, what you've been able to do for X, Y, and Z, and put that on paper and charge for it, and know that you're giving it a very sophisticated boutique touch, you should be able to charge for that. And I think for you, I don't think you need the encouragement, but the same for you too. Like you have the experience, you have the network, you know what you're doing, and they can reach out to you. So you're not like a corporate being in California that's going to do marketing and websites and things for people. Like you actually are going to sit down and talk to them and go through things when they go wrong.
Yeah. Sometimes emotional support too, when things aren't going good, that sort of stuff. So I might try to do that, where I just put everything. I've used it to help me with some pricing on stuff that I haven't really done that much of, and like making sure that I'm charging right. But maybe if I just gave it everything that I've ever done, and these are all, because of what I used to do, it was not anything of what I do now for my old corporate job. So if it just knew everything that I'm potentially capable of, who knows?
You should try it and see. Let me know.
Yeah, I will. So how does leadership play a role in because you're leading these different, groups of businesses? How is that and how do you see that working as you start to hire on new people? How do you see your leadership going?
So that was something I had to pray about too, because I can be like a little controlling or a little, not judgmental again, because I really do not like that word, but I don't understand when people don't see things the way that I see them. So being a leader as a consultant to these businesses, that had its challenges, not anymore, because you're the consultant, but it's their company.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they can make the decision to do what you recommend or not.
Right.
And you have to be okay with that. So that taught me to be a better leader as far as being a consultant. So that's one, like a leader in consulting, right? Yeah. Or a consultant leader, or however you want to say that, versus me being somebody's employee. And then when it comes to me hiring someone, same thing with control. I hired a young lady in October and told her I could give her a certain amount of hours. She said, I can do it. But because it took me so long to release control and allow her to have her own workflow of something from A to Z, I literally just gave her a consistent 15 hours like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So there was 1 week, she was doing auditing for me, so she got her 15 hours, or another week where she might have gotten more than 15 hours, but it wasn't like a consistent workflow.
Right.
It was like projects here and there. And you can tell it's something that she really wants. It was something that I told her was going to happen.
Yeah.
And even as I had an increase in clients, I still didn't give her that A to Z this is what you're in charge of every week. This is your 15 hours.
Yeah.
And that's a control thing.
Right.
So you have to remove that sense of control as well if you want to grow your business. And from there, it allows you to be a better leader.
So would you do that in steps where you're like, for her, I'm going to give you this 5 hours but this is what one thing that you're responsible for, this another 5, this another 5. Is that how you had to do it? Like slowly in your own brain where you were like, okay, I've got enough stuff that I can trust her with doing, these things, and you can release control of it.
It really started with projects first.
Okay.
And what she was auditing ended up being what the workflow was. So for instance, medical billing. This is the actual thing that it was. The first project that I gave her was to go through claims that hadn't been paid in months because there had been so many for one of my clients. And because I was doing so many other things, I couldn't keep track of it. Because one of the things about billing with Medicaid is you have up to a year to bill it and get your money. Okay. So there is a time constraint because obviously the client needs that money sooner than later. But when you get to a certain amount of claims, you start losing track of things that might not have been paid because the checks are so large.
Yeah.
So that's what I had her to do at the beginning. It's like, hey, these are a list of claims that apparently have not been paid. Please go into the system and see what the denial reason was, see all the things. So that took a while, but it connected to the actual medical billing because she was going in that website. She was getting familiar with the service names and the amounts. So it kind of was like, I unknowingly was like spoon feeding her information. Yeah. So by the time that she started being in charge of the actual medical billing, she knew where to go. Yeah. She knew the amount. She knew the names. Like she was already used to the systems, even though she was using them in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, that's like learning new technology is always going to take people time. Videos would really be great for that. Yep. So on a personal side, like what motivates you? Is it just to help people?
On a personal side, what motivates me, yes, I will say is to help people because again, like that is my my passion is like organization and workflows and like, ooh, let's do that. Like, I don't know. Like the way that my mind works is very much like I am always like reverse engineering. Okay. Like when someone says, I need to do X, Y, and Z by October 31st, my mind automatically goes into breaking it apart and getting them to realize the things that need to be completed in 30 days and 60 days and 90 days. Yeah. So I do believe that that's my passion. So it gives me a purpose when it comes to the other companies. But on a personal note, like I want to have a life, again, the life that I prayed for, but then I also don't want there to ever be a time, unless I'm on vacation with my husband, that one of my children is sick at school and I can't come and pick them up. Yeah. Yeah. Like at the bare core of me, that is what I want to do. And I understand I'm a woman and I'm a wife, but I'm a business owner, but I am a mom. Like I want to have the flexibility to do that. I want to have the flexibility to not have to work for anybody, even though I have, clients. Because that was one of the biggest things that made me have this internal angst. And it wasn't anybody's fault, but my son and my daughter were both kind of sick a lot when they were 18 months and, around that time where it seems like they're always getting sick or there's always a fever or, a stomach issue or something like that. And with my son and with my daughter, I felt bad. Like, I'll never forget, this is before COVID. My son woke up with a nosebleed and this is 2018, maybe 19. So he wasn't even 2 yet. So he probably was like a year and a half. But he woke up with a nosebleed and I was a first time mom. So it freaked me out. I took him to the emergency room. I did all the things. But I sent my boss a picture and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to come in today. My son has a nosebleed. And I sent my boss a picture of my son's nosebleed because I felt like I had to convince her
Justify.
that it was okay for me to be out of work. And that wasn't anything that she put on me.
Yeah.
I have just been, and it might be my 12-year-old self, always having to prove to everybody that I'm perfect, right? Mm-hmm. And it got to a point when anytime anything would happen like that in my career, I felt like I had to justify why I wasn't at work or justify why I had to take PTO. Or I went to my friend's mom's funeral in Maryland and ended up going to work that day.
Oh, wow.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Because
well, there's something about the corporate world that like they expect you to work all the time. You know, it's like indentured servitude.
It is.
You know,
and I don't
you get 2 weeks off, you know.
Yeah, like you get 2 weeks off, and I don't want to say anything negative because my husband's still in the world.
Yeah.
But like as a mom,
yeah. Especially when they're young.
It does something to you. And I should say as a parent, because I don't want to be, I don't want to say that my husband doesn't feel the same way. And also my dad used to be the one to come into the schools when my sister and I needed something because my mom was a teacher.
Okay.
So she couldn't leave school.
Yeah.
But my dad worked in banks. So he was able to leave and come. Like I always had a parent that was able to leave and come, but I knew I wanted to be that parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I can help it, you know? So that's really why I do what I do. And to answer your question, I think that was your question.
Yeah.
Like on a personal note. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what advice do you have for like specifically women going into entrepreneurship?
I have a few things. One, do it, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like the thing that happens and the thing that we know is time waits for nobody. Time waits for no one. So you can say, well, I want to do it when I'm ready, or I can't do it until X, Y, and Z. My whole thing is put a plan together and start it piece by piece. Yeah. Keep your job. Now, if you need to, don't quit your job until you're ready.
Yeah.
But try to start doing it, even if you give yourself an hour a night to establish your LLC or, open up a business bank account. Like those things, you don't need anything for that. Like for a business bank account, I think you need $5 or something.
Yeah.
But at least establish your LLC, establish your website, establish all of those things that you know you're going to need later while you're planning the steps and ordering your steps to actually get into business. Yeah,
I don't know that I would have. I mean, I always like, I was in bands and stuff, so I always had like some entrepreneurial spirit and stuff. And I DJ'd for a while and like just make extra money. But I don't know if I would have made the leap until I got fired. But I had already started something. I knew I'd make some money, but I don't know if I would have. But I would have been just dead inside, by now.
But there are even people that will get fired or get laid off and have their severance and not do anything.
Yeah.
And to me, and this is only for people that actually want to be an entrepreneur, right? Yeah. So I'm not speaking to anybody that wants to be in corporate for the rest of their lives, wants to be a teacher. Like this is no offense to anybody when I say it. But if you know that you want to eventually be your own boss and you get fired, that's God. Yeah. Like, especially if you get a severance.
Yeah, exactly.
Because obviously God doesn't want us to struggle, right? He won't put too much on us that we can't bear. But if we get let go of a job and we still have 6 months of pay, that is your 5 months to make something happen.
Yeah.
Right?
To try as hard as you can.
Absolutely. Like, and that's how I feel.
Especially if you already have the vision and potentially calling that you feel like you should do it. Then,
absolutely.
Then you got to try. If I would have failed, it is what it is, but at least I would have tried. I was in, like I said, I was in bands and stuff, and we didn't ever get a record deal. We turned a couple down. Because it would have been, they took all the money. But I have no regrets. Because I pushed as hard as I could and I did everything that I could and it just didn't work out. But I had, great time in my life, like 10, 15 years.
Right. Oh, actually, and the other thing I wanted to say, I want to say 2 things. So start somewhere. Yeah. But then it only takes one yes. You and I can vouch for that. And yes, it came from our sisters. And we love our sister. My sister is still my client right now. Love her to death. But it took that one yes from her to give me that extra encouragement to know that I could really do this. And what she was paying me at first, it wasn't as much as I am making now, thank God, you know, but I had to start somewhere. Right. And I started with that yes. And when I tell you, I turned that yes into my business because what she wanted me to do or needed me to do, I'm doing way more now. Right. Because she even didn't realize like how much experience I had in the business world in all of the things. So she needed me for like 2 things. And I ended up spinning that yes into, oh, well, you know, I can do this, and this too. Right. She's like, oh, snap. Yeah. Like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, like, and that's my sister, like, that's my best friend. And there are certain things about me as a corporate professional person, she had no idea. Right. She just thought I was type A just for gigs. Like she was like, oh, like you really do have it together when it comes to business as well. And I'm like, absolutely. Yeah.
So what do you see like the vision is for, like we talked, it's kind of wrapping things up, but what do you see like the vision for the next couple of years, 2-3 years, something like that?
So once I get through and you know, going through the steps that it's taking to really build a community and spread my business in a wide net in like Prince William County and maybe beyond. I think for me is I want to stabilize in a way where I can start planning for the next steps of what my husband and I have been talking about. Like my husband and I have been talking about real estate, have been talking about so many different like passive ways of being entrepreneurs, and we've never gotten the opportunity to do that because of life. Yeah. So for me, I really do think my business is going to help us to get to that next level. Yeah. Where we aren't as boots on the ground. I don't know if that's going to happen in a year. Right. But that is the plan. Like the plan is moving towards investing in something more passive. Okay. And being owners in that regard and giving our children the life that we always wanted, giving that generational wealth. Yeah. So I'm hustling, working hard, getting clients, expanding my community in order to achieve that. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a lot of what people try to do too, is like, because anything passive is ideal. Absolutely. You know, but that's a whole new thing to learn too, though. If you don't have any, you know, investment experience. I mean, there's a bunch of people in the chamber and stuff that can help. And then the money aspect of it all. Yeah. Like, it's so many things. Like, are you going to be sitting on a pile of money, or are you going to have to do another loan, or are you going to? It's so many things that go into it. So you have to get your mind right in order to get to that next step. But if that's one of your goals, you should. Yeah. Pray and make it happen. Be working towards it. Yeah, that's cool. Well, thanks for coming on today. It's been awesome. I'll plug all your socials and everything in the comments. But thanks for coming. It's been great to get to know you more. Thank you so much. Thanks.